playing. All right.
It's this one.
Right. So, welcome to Merry Old England and Lucky Session 13,
Oh, nice.
which I'm sure will go well.
We're 2 people down in the session 13. That's great.
Well, can't be a total party kill if not everybody's here.
Good point.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. See, logic. Salvatore and Luther will come back and be like, "Who are you guys?"
I have always been there, and it's just like I'm playing I'm playing Trevor's characters, but with a mustache.
There you go.
I've always been there.
Alrighty. So you guys have made the journey to London, following up on your friend's theory that there was some sort of large international thing happening, large enough that it ended up getting him killed. Your investigation into his murder in New York let you stumble across this African death cult called the Cult of the Bloody Tongue. Who are responsible for not only your friend's murder, but several other murders and abductions over the last few years. Your friend Jackson Elias was investigating an expedition, the Carlisle expedition, which left New York about 4 years ago, traveling to Egypt to, depending on the source, look for King Solomon's treasure or something of that nature. The sources are varied as to what they were actually going for. Elias believed that despite reports that the expedition had been killed by tribesmen in Nairobi, he believed that the expedition was still alive and up to something. The last letter that he sent seemed to show his sanity fraying a bit at the edges from whatever he uncovered. Investigation through New York led you with several possible leads to London, to Egypt, to possibly China, possibly Kenya, a variety of options. But London is a necessary stop to get to any of those other locations. So you have arrived in London at the end of January, early February, having taken the boat across from New York.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. We're just doing a recap. During your travels, you had a chance to peruse some books that you had gotten from the Carlisle estate. Things of a dark and mysterious nature. Most people fared fairly well, but Evelyn, while she was reading the book, felt a presence. Something caused her to lose her facilities for a brief period of time. Thankfully, she came to just before she slit her own wrists.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you not? Yeah. Yeah. Evelyn hasn't mentioned it to anybody.
And Evelyn knows deep down that something is waiting for her. But with that, we will pick up on the morning of January the 31st, 1925, in London. You guys do have scant leads. You do know that Elias had a business card for something called the Penhew Foundation. And Alvin suggested that perhaps if there's a cult similar to New York operating, that the newspapers might be a good avenue to explore. Other than that, you guys have checked into a kind of like upper middle class hotel, trying not to draw too much attention to yourself just in case. And with that, the day is yours.
Well, I need a pint if I'm in London. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'm going to hit the American style tabloids, especially the ones that have the topless girl on the inside front cover.
Not American style. Are they American style?
It's
Actually, I think I'd have to go back and read about this, but I think what happened is they started off British style and Americans adopted it.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Tabloids
tabloids.
originated in Britain.
Yeah, exactly. The tabloids are like a British thing, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna pick up. I'm gonna go buy a few. I get pretty good credit, so I'm gonna buy a few newspapers that are tabloid size and probably have whatever the 1920s version of Page Three girls are. And
Just a quick question: are we in a hotel right now? Like we have said, did I miss that? Like, are we at a location? Have we
Yes.
created a base?
Yeah, you guys arrived, took the train to London from the docks, got settled into like an upper middle class hotel.
Fantastic. Okay, then I am all with Bill. We're gonna buy a bunch of newspapers. We're gonna. Apparently, the whiskey is great in London.
we'll
like
get some meat pies with some of the mushy peas on top,
Exactly.
British
and
cuisine.
we'll see what we can figure out here. We'll pick one
Boiled.
we'll pick one to contact and see if we can find some information
Exactly.
about the
We get
Carlisle
a good.
expedition.
We get a nice boiled steak with mint sauce on the side.
There you go.
Ugh.
Good steak and kidney pie. Hold the kidneys. I don't know if I want kidney in the Call of Cthulhu game.
It's kidney beans. It's not actual kidney.
Yep. The height of
Just
British cuisine.
Yes.
Avoid all the organ meats.
I'm sure Chris is like, Chris who can cook. He's like,
Oh yeah.
vomiting a bit in his mouth.
Boil what?
My
Everything.
worst fear,
Lettuce?
I think my worst fear is eel pie.
Mm. I mean, British.
With all that gelatin. Ugh.
I mean, there's like good fish and chips. There's a good English breakfast. There's bangers and mash. Cornish pasties aren't bad, but the rest of British cuisine is pretty bland.
Yeah. Conquer the entire world. Never, for spices, never occurred to use them.
Yeah. All right. So
Poor England. Just
well,
bashing them here.
I'd also like to go back to my office to try to check up on what the library at the university has to offer. Try to cross-reference everything we've found so far. See if I can get more details on that.
All right.
And we do have the Pennu Foundation that we can check on that were implicated in the expedition. They might have information for us.
And what is Evelyn up to?
It's a good question. I think Evelyn's still in her room. She hasn't come out yet today.
Okay. All right. And just because both Tony and Mark are aware, we're going to say that Salvatore probably is traveling with his wife. So they're going to go see some sights. He needs to give her some time, and Luther is going to just accompany them just in case. So yeah, as you guys are like kind of gathering to make your plans for the day and get some breakfast and all of that, Evelyn has not come down yet.
Miss Evelyn did look a little pale when we got out of the ship. Maybe we should check on her to see if she's not sick.
Bring her some eel pie.
I'm sure that will help.
The goal is to keep her not sick.
Well, you guys know better than I do. I've just known her on the trip.
She likes tea.
Well, she came to the right country.
Exactly. You should be able to find a nice selection of tea. Make sure she's okay. What is the common thing that they add to tea? The alcohol that they add to tea. It's not bourbon.
You add whiskey to coffee, but
I don't know you add anything to tea.
sugar and milk because you're in England.
Ugh.
Milk first, then you pour the tea in, right?
Yes. What kind of barbarian are you?
Apparently, the barbarian from the Americas.
I currently live in Morocco, but I'm from America.
So I'm going to let
You can always make a
With
hot
doctor.
toddy, which is gunpowder tea with rum.
there you go, a hot toddy. So Dr. Carter, I mean, this is I'm going to assume that being English, you're the tea expert here between all of us as I look around the table. Maybe you might want to knock on her door and bring her something
Yes.
because we're still going through papers.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess, Chris, that that's a research role, even though we're not in a library
It
or
is.
a library role.
It is library use.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll let you check through the tabloids. I'll probably need an escort before, just because nothing is safe those days when I go to the university. But for now, I'll go check on Miss Collins. I'll let you boys with the papers.
Come on, Bill, roll a 6.
We rolled pretty close.
We do find the little ladies on page 3, though.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, it's just
Slows everything down.
yeah, like
That's when they got distracted.
yeah, it's just looking at their teeth.
Major
We
way
definitely
all
don't show
the
stuff like this in America.
all the way to like page 3 or page 6 or whatever it is.
That's right. It's like, I saw the dental work on the page 3 girl. I need to roll a sanity roll.
Ouch.
Big book of British smiles.
So cruel.
Right. So yeah, Dr. Carter, you can definitely like knock on Evelyn's door.
Miss Collins, is everything all right? I brought you some tea.
There's a long pause. There's the sound of shuffling in the room. So she definitely seems to be there. But there's a long pause. And then she doesn't open the door. But through the door, she says, just leave it outside. Thank you.
I will. Are you feeling unwell? Should I fetch you anything?
I'll be fine.
I'll leave you the cup of tea just outside your door. If you need anything, don't hesitate. I won't be far. You can have the desk call on me. I'll be in the dinner.
Thank you. She definitely
So-
doesn't sound as energetic as she sounded at other times during this whole adventure.
Yeah. I'm still on the theory that the boat ride made her sick.
I mean,
But,
it's a good theory.
But with everything's happening, I'm still finding everything suspicious. So, gonna leave the cup of tea in the saucer in front of the door. Leave her privacy.
Okay.
I think Miss Collin won't join us for now. She seems to be a bit sick right now, from what I could tell.
It was a long boat ride. I know that certain people are not good with those.
Yes, and her health is not the strongest.
Dr. Carter,
Yes.
in an overabundance of caution, is there any reason to think that she has been cursed?
I do not think so, but considering the whole of the Peru situation, I would keep someone close by.
Right. So, should we ask a doctor to see her? We have.
For now, I think it's more appropriate to give it a bit of time. But
Okay.
if the situation does not improve through the day, I would suggest maybe having a doctor check her over.
You know what she liked? She liked libraries.
Well, before we do leave for the library, we'll have to make sure to inform her of.
Right. I'm wondering if it's like a carrot on a stick for her or something.
Lord knows we could use the help.
Yep. Yeah. Apparently, this stuff is written in English,
Well,
but I only understand half of it.
I would be more comfortable exploring the library of the university on that subject with her assistance. So before we move to that, I'd wait for her to be better. But I can try to give you a hand with those paper.
Mhm.
I'm gonna sit down and just grab a couple of the paper that we're trying to go through and try to organize them
All
so
right,
it's easier to make research in it.
perfect. You can give me a library use roll.
I'm actually on the computer tonight, so I can do rolls, all of them.
Check you out.
Oof.
I would like to go on record for those people who are listening to us that we have made 3 rolls so far today, and they are 66, 61, 66. Just
That's a
Name-
lot of six.
Number of the beast. All right. So as they're, I mean, the tabloids that Bill has picked up, um, they're, they're kind of tawdry affairs, but one of them kind of stands out as kind of more sensationalistic than the others, and that is a newspaper called The Scoop.
Well, from what I can see of all those paper, if one of them would to be reporting the nooks and cranny of the Carlisle expedition, I guess that would be this one.
Yeah, it's basically like the other papers are, they're relatively benign. The Scoop is the one with like headless body found in the Thames as the headline.
And then you learn it's a
Whoa.
fish.
Yeah.
All right, just as a lark, I don't think it's going to pan out, but I'm going to grab a couple real newspapers too and see if I can give a shot on those.
Okay.
I think we could try to visit this paper to see if they have back issues that we could check up.
Did I roll?
also
Yeah, you can make a library use roll.
to add some context to the people
I made it.
were searching, especially Bill. I'm going to explain to him a little bit of what happened in America. Or in the States,
Okay.
specifically around the fact that murder started happening or disappearance started happening about a year and a half ago, 18 months ago, right? Close to almost 2 years ago. And that they were targeting the unsavory characters, so like that they went unnoticed for some time. Right? So we can go backwards. Just because it's not in today's, edition doesn't necessarily mean that something wouldn't have shown up over a larger period of time.
Yeah, I
Another
gotcha.
question, the other question I have for Chris is I'm looking for something that's the equivalent of a underworld role or a streetwise role. I mean, if Alvin decides to hit the bars or the pubs or different areas to see what's the word on the street, I know London is a big city, and I'm not expecting to get anything within a 5 minute asking spree. But what would that be?
It would actually be law.
Law
Yep.
to get word on the street?
Yep.
Although I'm skilled in law and I have no problem making that role, could you educate me as to why that would be?
Just because Call of Cthulhu doesn't have a streetwise skill.
Ah, so it would be law.
Yep.
Everything defaults to law. Okay.
Well, I mean, you know who the lawful and unlawful folk are and where they're likely to hang out. So,
Sure.
Yep. Like actually finding information from people would be like fast talk, persuasion, listen, so on and so forth. But knowing the sorts of places where those people would congregate would be law.
Okay. Can I roll that to figure that out? At least with these newspapers, I might be able to figure out the nicer and shadier parts of town that we can start focusing our searches in.
Sure. And in the meantime, there, Bill, the regular papers, they don't have. I mean, it's the news of the day. The papers are not as sensationalistic as they are with the New York Times and stuff. That seems to fall more to the purview of the tabloids. So your traditional papers, you're finding things like um, art reviews and gallery reviews and political news and that sort of thing, but nothing of the nature of what you're looking for.
Boring.
Boring news. Although, since you did succeed at your library use, there is some information in the in one of the newspapers about there's apparently quite a uproar over this local artist named Miles Shipley. Um, Basically, some of his avant-garde work is seen by some as like shocking and not fit for public viewing, and then others are like decrying the freedom of artistic expression. And it seems to be like almost like an editorial. How a bunch of art critics are kind of tearing this artist down, and the editorial is going on about how artists should be free to express their creativity.
Ah. And what's the guy's name?
Miles Shipley.
Miles Stipple. And what's the content of the paintings? Does they give any description?
Not in the normal papers. No, it's more of an editorial. Apparently, his paintings are quite controversial, and that seems to be the thrust of the editorial, is how these things are works of art and deserve to be shown.
Well, that interests me. Just because it could be profitable. All right, I'll make a note of that. I might go track him down later when there's free time. And right now we got other things we're working.
Okay.
Is there anything along the lines? I guess that doesn't help me because I failed my library use roll, but anything along the lines of uh, again, back in the States, there was a bunch of conferences about weird African tribes and stuff like that. There's nothing like that, like today's showing or tomorrow's showing.
No.
Okay. Because basically, we're looking for anything weird. Is how wide this is, right?
Exactly.
I think we'll need to go to the paper itself to try to check on back issues for possible murder streak or something like that. Like checking the paper would give us an idea of which paper to research more deeply, but I don't think the things will happen today specifically.
All right. Going through the hints here, wasn't there some place where we're supposed to go visit in London?
Well, right now we can try to go visit the office of the Scoop. See if we can check the back issues. We could also go to the university, so I can cross-reference our research. But I would wait for Evelyn to be in better shape for that. We could also try to go see the Penham Foundation. They have been implicated in
Oh,
the expedition.
that's the one that I was thinking of.
That's what we have on the table right now.
All right. So when Evelyn's up and feeling better, less boat lagged, we can do the library stuff.
Is there
Penham
any
Foundation.
idea?
I'd like.
Sorry,
No, you go ahead.
I was wondering if there is any part of town that would be more visited by the I'm looking for my word. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
Greg's, like Whitechapel.
I was thinking more of the Crowley of this world.
Alistair
Yeah.
Crowley.
Yes, the occultists. Do they have a fondness for some part of town?
Like Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley, and those guys.
Well, LeVay was in like California, I believe, but
Yeah, I think he was.
Crowley's definitely around London. But the kind of the more bohemian area of London is Soho.
Ruby, 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 Soho.
Okay.
So it's off, but further west.
So, sorry.
Soho's off the map, but further west. If you look at the ambiance.
Oh, right.
Like up here. And then
Oh yeah,
over here.
I see it.
You know, we're only
Neutral.
about 26, 27 years out of the Jack the Ripper murders. He'd probably still be alive at this point.
It's possible.
Oh yeah, that went unsolved.
If we go to the scoop, are you comfortable trying to talk to people into getting us access to the back issues?
That's persuasion or something, right?
Yeah. Well,
Depending on how you want
Yeah,
to do it.
I'll give it a shot. I got a 55 in that.
Sure. Would there be the address on the paper?
there is.
So we can try that. I'll make sure to warn Evelyn before we go, and make sure someone is nearby to be there if something happens.
Okay.
Can I assume one of our missing player can exist nearby?
Salvatore and Luther are out for a morning stroll, taking in the sights.
Do you have any covers? Because there's none in the
I'll go warn her and
covers. Because there's none in the
see if
covers.
she's feeling better.
Okay.
So I'll go knock on her door again, and I'll announce myself. Sorry to be a bother. It's Dr. Carter.
There's just shuffling in the room again. And it takes a few minutes before there's a voice near the door. The tea that had been left outside the door is gone. So somebody took the cup.
Anywhere, everyone loves tea.
We were thinking of visiting the local newspaper to try to get the back issues, see if there was a streak of murder or some information on the expedition. And I wanted to check with you if you wanted to come with us or if you were feeling alright to be here by yourself. If you'd prefer, I can stay not far.
Be possessed.
All things considered, I can come with you. Just give me a few moments.
No problems.
So there's kind of more shuffling in the room, and it takes probably 10 minutes before she opens the door. And she looks a bit more haggard than usual. She has her cane clutched in one hand. The room behind her looks a little more disheveled than her room usually looks. Uh, from all the times that people have been, camped out in other people's rooms and doing research in places, and her room is usually very neat. It is not right now. There's things scattered around the room, books that are half open, and it looks like she might have just sort of tossed or flipped over one of her bags and just to empty it out. It doesn't look like Evelyn's rooms usually do. The bed's not made.
I get the feeling that the travel hasn't been the most kind on your end. Maybe we should seek the counsel of a physician to make sure your health does not degrade.
I'll be fine. Just haven't been sleeping well.
Well, make sure to be kind to yourself, and if things should not get better, maybe we can advise then. If you feel all right now, I can escort you. We are going to visit a few establishments to try to get a bit more information, and I'd feel safer with you with us, and your help would be appreciated.
Certainly, I know a thing or two. I can certainly help.
Well, I'll probably need to look for volume in the library, and I'd rather have your assistance than the boys.
That's a kind way of phrasing it. Yes, I can certainly help with that.
Perfect. We're gonna stop at the local tabloids to try to get their back issues. I'll let them try to convince them to give us success. But once we do, we will have to parse through the back issues to try to find something of importance. After that, we can go to my office and try to get access to the library of the university. Cross-reference what we found so far.
That sounds fine.
Excellent. I know Dr. Carter's going to offer his harm to help her along.
Okay. Right. So you guys are headed to the newspaper, to the Scoop.
Yep. think we should start with that.
Perfect. The office of the Scoop, easily found. The address is right there in the paper, along with the editor's name. The editor's name is Mickey Mahoney. There is a standing offer for stories worthy of publication in the Scoop for a payment of £15. And it's sort of like, no story too small, no details too grotesque. The Scoop offices, it's third floor of a building on Fleet Street. It is a Saturday, so it's fairly empty, but the office is open. And you can hear, as you kind of like walk down the hallway towards the office, this kind of like gruff, heavily Irish voice. Seems to be haranguing somebody on the phone before you hear the phone slam down.
All right. Well, I'll be turning on the charm. A little bit less American accent, more Moroccan. And I think the approach I'm going to go with is that I am writing a book about I don't know, ritualistic murders worldwide, and I've been traveling all over, and I have the passport to prove it. I'll make up. I'll use the stuff that from the states that I know, and I'll make up some other shit that sounds feasible. And I think it's going to be a book, but I think the angle I'm going to use is like we'll serialize it through your newspaper first, and I'm making it sound very sensationalistic, and I'm acting like somebody who would write for this kind of stuff professionally, freelance for magazines like this or newspapers like this professionally, and it says, like you give me help with the research, you get first crack at serializing it, and plenty of credit and thanks and recommendations and potential subscriptions in the book itself, which I'm sure is going to be a hit just because of the nature of the subject matter.
I'll throw up a picture of Mickey there.
Yeah, I just saw it. It was cool.
British
accent. Parker, get me those pictures.
Yeah. So Mickey is like he's got like red hair starting to gray. Rather large gentleman, like cigarette dangling out of the corner of his mouth. He's like, yes, sit down. Let's hear. Not the first guy to come by trying to pull this scam, so let's get a feel for you.
Yeah, no scam. I'm not even asking for money. I'm just asking for archive access. Maybe a couple conversations with your crime beat people, if you have one. And I don't know. Who do you got that's really into this cult scene? Maybe some names. Maybe somebody on staff that knows the scene. Maybe some names I could talk to here in town.
He kind of looks around at the empty office. He's like, we pay freelancers. We don't have a staff. Keeps costs low.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's how it works.
But I mean, you're not the first guy to come waltzing in here with stories of some cult and how he was going to share the story with me and how, paper sales would go through the roof, but nothing ever materialized. So why should I give you the time of day?
Well, and who's with me right now? That's who from Peru is with me right now?
Evelyn and Dr. Carter.
Evelyn and Dr. Carter? Anybody else with me?
Alvin's also here.
Sorry?
Alvin is also here. Is my audio not great today?
It is great now, but right before that it wasn't.
Okay, weird.
So yeah, I'm going to assume that the group is together unless you tell me otherwise.
All right. So I'll say, well, for example, and I'll use the example of this great writer being great famous writer being murdered, and I'll say, do you remember that book he wrote about Peru? These three people that I've been working with extensively in the last 3 weeks, we're actually on that. We're friends of the author, and we're actually on that expedition.
Yeah, I saw on the wire about Mr. Elias's untimely demise. Kind of explains why he never carried through on the deal we made, but I'm sorry for your loss, I guess.
Right.
Thank you.
But if you get somebody in here right now, you could interview them, and that would be good.
Tell you what, you bring me the story, I'll pay you for it, just like I do anybody else.
Well, I kind of need access to your research. How about I write you the story of the murder of the writer?
Alvin's gonna tap on your shoulder for a second
Yeah.
and say, maybe we can get the outline that Mr. Elias gave him. It'll
Do you
just
have a
start,
copy
give
of
us
that?
somewhere to start.
Yeah. Do you have the outline? Can I try to persuade Roll out of that?
You sure can.
And he has a copy, right?
Well, we don't know if he has a copy or not, but if Mr. Elias came to him and said, "Hey, I have a story. Check this out," enough to give him time of day, he must have given him something, which will give us.
The success.
Right. It's like, no, never really got that far. He was investigating. Came, same sort of story you told me. Evil cult operating in the city. Um,
Oh, it's international.
he
It
seemed to
got him
think
in New York.
that they were really well connected. Didn't have any proof, but make you the same deal I made him. You bring me the story, I'll give you £15.
I don't really need £15. I get cash isn't the issue. It's access to contacts and records is the issue.
Yeah.
How about I give you £15 and you give me the information?
Okay.
Do I need to? Is that a good deal?
What is your 1 second? What is your credit rating?
60.
Holy shit! Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
I'm a very good smuggler.
That is actually more than you can spend in a day.
Really?
15 pounds?
£15 equates to about $75.
And how much can I spend?
You have a daily spending limit of 50, so you can reduce your cash down to 325 or down to 225, and then you can. But it's above your daily spending limit, so you actually do have to track it. Basically, anything above your daily spending limit, you have to track. Anything below your daily spending limit, you're fine.
So, how about I negotiate and say, is 10 in my spending limit?
10 would be. Yeah, 10 would be kind of pushing it, but
All right. I'll say, I don't know what you got yet. How about I give you 10? And if I find something good, I'll give you more. And you still get the story. You can repay me. You can repay me when I bring you this story.
and you guys can all see his eyes kind of light up at the idea of instead of paying you
Pretty much.
guys for the story, you guys are paying him to bring him the story.
Right.
You can see he seems momentarily confused at this reversal of how things are done, but he's like,
Right. It's just, I'm gonna lean over to him. The reason I'm gonna do this, the reason I'm willing to do this, is not because I'm rich. It's because I know how big this book is gonna be. That guy, that brilliant author, died writing this book, and I've got half his contacts already. Just none in this city. Trust me, we could make a mint out of this.
it's like, well, honestly, I don't know who he was talking to. I can point you to the stories that he was interested in our back issues.
Spectacular. And I will. I'll pay him the 10.
All right.
Drinks are on you guys. The dinner's on you guys tonight, guys. This is tapping me out for the day.
So Mahoney will take you down to basically the archives. Your friend, I assume friend. Anyway, Jackson. He seemed to have particular interest in a couple of the stories here. I don't know if he actually got a chance to follow up on them. He seemed kind of like panicked, rushed, desperate, maybe. But these are the stories that he was interested in. One sec here.
All right.
The first story, and I'll drop these into a discovered handouts. I need to make an England folder. That's not what I want. Hate when I hit the wrong button. All right, so the first story from The Scoop. Shocking canvases craze. Local artist monstrous scenes mock surrealist. New collectors can buy savage scenes which rival or surpass the worst nightmares of the Great War, but which are far more exotic than that grim business.
That's interesting.
London artist Mr. Miles Shipley's work is being sought out by collectors who have paid up to £300 for individual paintings. This correspondent has seen a number of the works of artist Miles Shipley and finds them repulsive beyond belief. Maidens ravished, monsters ripping out a man's innards, shadowy grotesque landscapes, and faces grimacing in horror represent only a fraction of Shipley's nightmarish work. Despite their repellent content, these works are conceived and executed with uncanny verisimilitude. Mr. Shipley's imagination is sublime, and it is almost as though the artist had worked from photographs of alien places, surely never of this earth. The artist reportedly is in contact with other dimensions in which powerful beings exist, and says he merely renders visible his visions. Mr. Shipley is a working-class man without formal artistic training who has nonetheless made good where thousands have failed. Art critics say that Shipley provides an English answer to the continental artistic movement of surrealism, whose controversial practitioners have still to convince John Bull that the way in which a thing is painted is more important than what is painted. A tip of the hat to Mr. Shipley for exposing those frauds. For Bill, that is the same artist that the editorial was on, discovering.
Yeah, I wrote his name down in my notes. Yeah, I'm really interested in him now.
Chris,
Yes?
does any of the description, I mean, yes, in my opinion, but is this description of what they're saying the canvases are remind us at all of that terrible dream we had?
You guys can make Cthulhu Mythos rolls.
Not occult?
It's not a cult. Actually, I would allow an intelligence roll for this. It's more appropriate than Cthulhu Mythos.
Since
I
we're
have
remembering
intelligence.
more than anything.
It's about memory more than anything, yeah.
Yeah, not that we want to remember that, but okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Bill didn't have that dream.
I did not have that dream. I don't know why I rolled.
But for the rest of you,
Even
there
the
are,
dice know you didn't have that dream.
yeah, there are similarities for sure in the descriptions and kind of the surrealist and the the nightmarescape sort of thing.
Okay.
The next story that Elias was interested in. Police baffled by monstrous murders. Killer beast shot, but still alive? Derwent Valley residents, shocked last month by 2 murders and a serious assault on a 3rd victim, are still without a satisfactory explanation or perpetrator of the dreadful attacks. At that time, Lesser Edale farmer George Osgood and resident Lydia Perkins were torn to shreds in apparently unrelated murders on consecutive nights. On the third night, wheelwright Harold Short was nearly killed but managed to drive off his attacker, which he described as a grisly creature. According to the Lesser Edale Constabulary, a rabid dog was shot and killed on the night of Mr. Short's attack. The police believe the matter to be closed. Nevertheless, the local residents have subsequently claimed to have seen and heard a strange beast lurking about the area. Reportedly, the good folk of Lesser Edale still endure sleepless nights due to the bizarre wailings of the beast on nights of the full moon. Readers of the Scoop are reminded of their esteemed journal's long-standing danger protocols and are advised that the picturesque cliffs of the Derbyshire Peak District have been declared to be a zone of high danger. Residents of the Midlands are advised to remain indoors at night and to report all mysterious happenings to the police and to the Scoop. And the last story that Elias was interested in. Slaughter continues, reward offered. An unidentified foreigner was found floating in the Thames last Tuesday the 24th. Another victim in the so-called Egyptian murders? Inspector James Barrington of the Yard refused to comment when asked by the Scoop. Sources exclusive to this journal state that the victim had been beaten severely and then stabbed through the heart in a manner curiously similar to other murders that have taken place over the last 3 years. The connection seems obvious, but New York Scotland Yard has yet to confirm that the deaths are connected. Inspector Barrington and his colleagues appear baffled and no closer to catching the hideous perpetrator of these crimes. Londoners cry out, "When will our streets be safe?" Readers of the Scoop are reminded that this esteemed journal has a reward, now standing at £24, for information leading to the apprehension and conviction of the murderer. Be vigilant.
That reward still
That's-
open, buddy? Or sorry, is that reward still open, mate?
Yes.
This is interesting. Is that inspector the one that I don't remember his last name. Is it still is it Barrington?
Barrington, yes.
No, but is it the same one that was referred to us by from the States?
Yes.
We got lots of angles now.
The interesting thing is that it's a foreigner, and we're foreigners as well.
And do you have any other article on those Egyptian murder? Like how many were there and how spaced out were they? Did they all depend on the new moon?
The murders, there's been 19 murders over 3 years.
3 years?
Police are no closer to catching a suspect either.
So this, however, the full moon piece matches what we know from the States when the murders were happening during the abductions were happening during the new moon as well, right? Or the full moon, sorry, not the new moon.
So Mickey
Did I
will
say something stupid?
Mickey will kind of like leave you guys to kind of pour over things. He's like, I have to go check the wire. Don't take anything.
Chris, is that description still make sense there? Where I said in the States there were abductions that were happening during the full moon, and we know that by what we were reading, there were ritualistic sacrifices with something on the forehead and all that stuff. The monstrous murders right here, also talking about the full moon, but there's no list or anything about the ritualistic nature. It's all grisly attacks, right?
Correct. And the abductions in New York happened during the new moon, not the full moon.
Oh, the new moon, not the full moon. Okay, my bad.
That's why I asked if all of those murder happened at the new moon. With my lack of manipulation, I assume I would just ask those things straight up. Did he just leave us with the paper?
Yeah, he left you guys in the basement. I mean, you guys paid him like £10 is a good sum of money.
Oh yeah.
Can I make a library use to try to find more information on those murder?
Sure.
I mean, I know there's probably no more handout about that, but I just want to try to see if the murders were like on the new moon and stuff like that. Like, try to cross-reference shit.
There is no time correlation with any of the murders, and it takes you guys most of the rest of the day to go through all of the newspapers in the archives going back for 3 years.
Jesus.
But I think all of those things that Jackson pointed out all looks Peru shitty.
The other two things that you find out, there are a total of 19 murders over the last 3 years, each with a very similar um, method, basically beaten and then impaled to the heart. They are called the Egyptian murders because 17 of the dead people are Egyptian nationals.
Wait, hold on. Not to. So I don't know how biased this may or may not be. Are the Egyptians in London like considered maybe not second class, but like marginal people of society, kind of like the people in Harlem were in New York?
It's the height of British colonialism.
Yeah, the only reason the pyramids aren't in London is because they're too big to carry.
Right. So not necessarily. They're second class citizens in the way that everybody who is not British is a second class citizen. You guys are second class citizens.
Okay. Um, and this is probably a research for another day, but I'm gonna float that out to the team that if they're primarily Egyptians, we might be looking at a home base in the Egyptian neighborhood, much like we did for the ones in Harlem, and we found out that they were in Harlem.
And the other piece of information that you get out of the papers there, because you rolled well there, Dr. Carter, is that there apparently there was a witness who came across a dying victim after hearing a commotion, and says that the victim cried out "Hotep."
OTEP.
Interesting.
Hotep.
Some sort of Bubba Hotep?
No, not Bubba Hotep. Although that would be an awesome Call of Cthulhu adventure.
Wouldn't it?
Who's gonna be Elvis?
Thank you very much.
Um,
I'm more Fort Elvis.
that's not one of the name I have. That's not what's written on a scepter. Don't think it's not reference with anything I have.
Nope. You can make a language Egyptian roll.
Yes, I can do that. I will.
But that is the sum total of the information that you get from the papers. Yeah.
Ugh, yeah, I'll have to check my dictionary when I'm at my office. I'm gonna scribble that down.
Okay. But yes, but that finding out that and going through all those papers will take the entirety of the morning at the very least.
Yes,
I can accept that.
and I'll make sure to reshelve things appropriately to keep some goodwill and not trigger my own library use stigma.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that Evelyn or Alvin are doing while folks are going through newspapers?
Well, Alvin's
Um,
poking around newspapers just ineffectually.
Evelyn's noting anything dealing with the spiritualist movement. And given that seances were being reported as though they were news at the time, it's probably a lot of stuff that's not going to pertain to anything we're dealing with. But that's her wheelhouse, so she's going to look at them to read as many of them as she can.
Okay. So yes, there are a number of them. Spiritualism is a big thing in England at this point in time. May as well give me a library use roll just because that's how you increase skills. Oh,
Of all the useless things to get a 2 on. Holy crap! My dice are the most useless things in existence. Holy. Oh man.
um, so yeah, there are. I mean, the scoop is it's a tabloid. It's a sensationalist paper.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few stories about like hauntings and things that go bump in the night and stuff like that, seances and spiritualists and spirit boards and all of that sort of thing. The one that draws your attention with that role is a medium operating out of Soho named Miss Pink. What kind of catches your eye is that I mean all of these spiritualists. I mean they charge for their services.
Oh yeah.
She does not take payment until after the sitting is complete and the client is happy. So it kind of sets her apart from the ones that are like money up front.
Mm-hmm.
She waits until they've contacted whoever the client wants to contact and the person is happy with the results, and then she collects payment.
Interesting. Is there any mention of what payment? Like what the payment is? How much she charges?
It's kind of like the
I'm just wondering if it's like, given that this is kind of Evelyn's community, um, is it comparable to what Evelyn would expect or what Evelyn herself would charge? Or is it like way more? Is it way less? Is it something weird?
it would be average.
Okay. Huh. Evelyn will note down any information that she can find about her, like where, if it lists an address or something like that.
It does.
Excellent. She'll take that down just in case.
I didn't think to ask, but while we were rummaging through the paper, was there any mention of the Carlisle expedition?
Going
The
back,
people we're here for? What?
We were here to check if there was recurring murder. We found that, but we might as well.
yes, going back, there is mention of the Carlisle expedition. Like they when they arrived in London back in like it was 1919. Go back to my handouts. Yes, they arrived in England in 1919 in probably May. There's mention of the members, Robert Carlyle. While they were in London, they picked up renowned Egyptologist Aubrey Penhew, who was in charge of excavations and was assistant leader. There's mention of like a famous psychiatrist, Dr. Robert Houston.
Was that Brady Penhew?
Pardon?
Was that Brady Penhew?
Aubrey, Abrey.
Okay, Brady is someone else.
Yeah, there's Jack Brady. Jack Brady, who traveled with Mr. Carlo.
And that, if I remember well, that's the one that has been cited in Hong Kong.
Correct.
In the research that he's supposed to be dead, but has been spotted in Hong Kong.
Correct. But yeah, it's basically the information that you guys already have because a lot of this is like just wire transfers, right?
Yeah, in case there was something different.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a scandal while they were here, that would have been of interest, but...
Yeah, no, nothing scandalous.
Okay. We have a few leads to try to get onto, and we still have 2 other leads to work on.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that artist. I'm pretty good with, you know, the scum of the earth, hobo, smugglers, criminals, editors, artists, writers, those kind of people. I think I'll take him. Anybody want to come along?
Well, I kind of in parallel to that, I am interested, or Alvin is interested, but he's kind of leaning towards the opposite. We know that from what happened in the States, these cults buy off the police, things get ignored, and we know this has been going on for 3 years. But if the Egyptian community is being attacked, then those people probably have insight that doesn't make it to the newspapers, that the police ignore, and so on and so forth. Kind of like the Hellfighters that we had in Harlem. So going after more grassroots might be interesting as well.
There definitely is a little Egypt in London, according to Google, but I don't know if it was around in the 20s.
The other piece is I know that we have Egyptian artifacts that we will probably have to do an association there. Why did everyone get quiet? Is the Egyptian artifact suddenly scary?
No, I was just thinking.
Because Dr. Carter has like Egyptian stuff that we took from the U.S. and now we know that there's Egyptian people being targeted. Like there's it. It would be really weird if those two were a coincidence.
It would be more than a little weird.
Sorry.
Were you on mute that whole time when I was bringing that up?
No, I lost the connection for like a minute.
Oh,
Oh.
no.
I heard you talking about the Helldiver, and then I
Yes.
just
Okay, so I said yeah. So the Helldiver, the Hellfighters. So there might be a little Egypt, but we also said, hey, we also have Egyptian artifacts that Dr. Carter holds, and it would be
Yeah.
a really weird thing if those two were not connected. If those artifacts and the Egyptian people being targeted.
lots of our leads to Cairo, so there's definitely something going on about Egypt.
But also, we don't know what those artifacts are, right? We're not very good, or we haven't been able to research them deeply. Maybe these people know.
Good thought. You must be a detective.
That's what Alvin does.
But yeah, it's definitely a good lead. I still need to try to get to know a bit more about the things we brought back. That's why I wanted to go to my office. But trying to take the pulse of that community could be of interest.
Of
Just
which
don't. Sorry.
the Egyptian community?
Yes.
Ah,
I mean, if the murders have been happening in their circles, maybe if we could speak with them.
I could see them being reluctant to speak with us.
Oh, definitely. I absolutely have no idea how to approach that, but we got a lot of thing pointing toward Egypt right now. Egypt.
Yeah, but it's clear that there are murders happening here.
Yes.
So there's a branch of this here.
And
And if
the
we have a self-appointed task or mission or fate to try to stop this from happening, or whatever they're trying to make happen, stop happening. Alvin's not great with words today. We have to stop what they're doing today here, as
Yes.
well as in Cairo later.
I mean, yeah. I was just pointing out the fact that since we have so much thing pointing to Cairo, I don't think it's an accident. And the fact that those people have been stabbed through the art, that would point to something ritualistics, which is something our cults are prone to deal with. So I think that's definitely something related to our problem. Am I following your point correctly?
I think so.
Okay, good.
All I'm saying is, as much as this is pointing to Cairo, we need to deal with the problem here before following it to Cairo. That's it.
Yes,
We
definitely.
just got here.
Yeah,
but
it seems like we have things that we need to fix here.
yes.
Yeah, let's
what-
do everything we have to do here, so we never have to come back to this crap city.
Well, I'm very happy that they have some whiskey, though. So what's first? Remember that when we start looking, this is what happened in New York. We started looking, we started asking questions, we painted a target on our back. We want to make sure that that target is as far away as possible. So what can we do? In my opinion, we organize our leads, and the leads that we think are least likely to lead to tip off this group that we are here.
Okay.
So how would we organize that?
Well, messing
Right
around
now-
a little Egypt is going to make us noticed because we're going to stand out like a sore thumb there.
Unless we're Egyptian.
Asking question around
Which we're definitely not.
Just to be clear, at this time there is no Little Egypt. Most of that sort of area would be in and around Soho. In that area, that's where a lot of the foreign
New
nationals live.
immigrants. Okay.
New immigrants, foreign nationals, that sort of thing. Not strictly speaking, just Egypt or just Indian or anything of that nature. It's where, like, the quote unquote second class citizens tend to congregate. It's like the Bohemian capital. So all the good food, all the good music, all of that sort of stuff is in Soho. So you won't necessarily stand out just for being American or whatever. Asking questions, however, that might be a very different thing.
We can be the precursors of whatever the beat poets are.
The lead that we have right now is the Penway Foundation. The things that we already found in America that we need to reference at the university. We have this artist that is painting probably Peru shit. We have Soho to try to lead to follow up on that murder things. And we have the Beast that shredded someone.
Yeah, let's do that one last.
Yes.
I think that going to Soho asking question is gonna get attention. The artist, I don't know where to place in the list, but if he is in the cult, we're gonna get a target immediately. Unless we can play it smooth and just be curious about what his work is and not reveal what that we're looking into it.
I mean, we have someone here who's good at moving articles. Could you find us the name or pretend to represent a collector who's looking to collect all of them and say, hey, we're looking to get as many of these as possible because he loves your work or whatever, and then get a name of people who have bought these paintings. So like that we have a list that we can go on.
Yeah, but I would rather do that tomorrow and have a little bit more money to spend.
Well, of course, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not like we're gonna drop what is it, these pounds on paintings. We just wanna yeah, we just
My
wanna
guess
look like
is,
we know what we're doing. And it's not gonna be me because I don't look like what I know what I'm doing in an art gallery, right? So
so if I wanted to order that into the most innocuous to the more, I'd start with the cross-referencing at the university, then the Penway Foundation, then the artist, and then we can check up on So and trying to track that beast. And tracking that beast is just if we haven't found anything else by that time.
Yeah, right. So run that. What's the first thing on the list you had on that list?
Uh, we found a bunch of things in America that we could not identify, and I wanted to go to my office and to the university to try to cross-reference that to with books that we have to try to get a better idea of what we have in hand.
That sounds really good.
And that's something that will not attract attention. I mean, I'm just gonna go back
It's
to my
your
office.
office, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's completely innocuous. And the Penway Foundation was related to the expedition, but I don't think it was related to the cult. So checking on the Penway could give us information about the expedition without alerting people that we're looking into the cult. That's why I put those two on top.
Excellent choices. No, I like both of those.
And after that, everything gets a bit more risky.
Yeah, because people could have eyes on the painter.
But the thing is, if you speak with the, we can snoop around the painters and his creation. But if you talk with the painter, you can make it so that it's just someone else interested in his art, not someone looking into the dark things that he's doing.
exactly, a collector.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the approach I would take. And that's why I want it a little bit off, so I can like buy a prelim sketch or something from them and make it look like I'm very interested and have uh have money behind me for many pieces of his artwork. All right, AFK, just one sec, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay. Right. So is there anything else you guys are doing in the morning at the archives?
I think that would be all for me in the archive. Unless someone has a brilliant idea, I don't know what I would be looking for.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I mean, I failed my research role, so library use role, so I'm not going to find anything. But yeah,
I mean, you might still have idea of what to look for, even if you don't know how to look for them. But right now, I don't see anything else we should look for.
I'm curious with
Good.
that. I am really, really curious about that foreigner because it's one thing that there's been years worth of murders from people who are, for lack of a better term, ignored by this society. But the foreigner was a big deal. I'm wondering if there's anything else like that because that foreigner is like a specific anomaly.
I mean, the fact that he's unidentified could make him a person of interest.
Exactly. It's an anomaly. It doesn't fit the profile of everything else, of anything else. So he was either onto something or like there's something there because this stands out of the rest.
So we could add to the list of lead to follow to speak with Barrington.
But we have to speak to Barrington because he's aware of all the things that don't make it to the newspaper that he has to deal with.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to convince him that he wants to speak with us, but
Mm-hmm.
I think when you guys speak to Barrington, I'll go track the artist. I don't know if I want to hang around cops, especially in this city.
I mean, you haven't done anything bad yet in London.
I
Yeah,
think
this trip.
I think I'm more interested in the artist than the police as well.
Lady Evelyn, it'd be my honor to escort you to visit this fine illustrator of macabre
Nightmares.
nightmares.
In this country, you can't call me Lady Evelyn. That has definite implications that are not quite the same as it would be in the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you.
All right. So, assume we grab a quick bite to eat someplace while you're discussing your plans.
Yeah, probably stop in a cafe or something.
You know what? Fish and chips are actually good. It's the best thing I've had to eat since we've landed.
The thing with fish and chips is you gotta check the cart from which you take it, because they usually wrap it with newspaper. And you want to the quality of the fish and chip depends on the quality of the paper they wrap it in. If the newspaper is really shit, the ink is gonna seep in your fish and chip. So
Okay.
the better cart has better newspaper to wrap it in.
I do
So the
so
fancier
appreciate
newspaper, the better the cart is.
these local tidbits. They're very helpful. I'd rather not eat newspaper ink after the past 48 hours.
Yeah, that's why you look for the cart who has the good newspaper.
Do you have a preference for the reading material you eat your food from?
I mean, it happened a couple of times when I was eating my food, and sometimes there was something written on it that I was like, "Hey, I didn't think about that."
Hobbs. My favorite piece.
When you look at a cart, the fancier the newspaper, the better the fish and chips is gonna be.
All right. That's good to know.
Actually true.
How do we know if the? I mean, I don't know much about England, so how do I know if that newspaper is fancy and that newspaper isn't?
Well, it
Or do you
doesn't
mean the
say
Mostly,
actual texture of the paper itself?
well, if you look at all of the paper we brought this morning, they were mostly
Oh,
sensational paper.
not those.
Yeah, they use the
Okay.
cheap ink. And the newspaper that are a bit more full of themselves, they use the better ink that won't stain your finger, because the 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 people that buy papers about like the financial news don't want to have their fingers stained with ink. So you got to look for the paper who looks a bit more reputable. I'll show you.
Yeah, please. I mean, I thought this was good, but
Oh, it's great for what we need. But he's still going to use the cheapest ink and cheapest paper he can find.
no, I meant this fish and chips.
Oh, yes. Just don't fancy my fish full of ink.
All right. So, after you guys have your fish and chips, you're headed to.
Um,
The office.
do we start with my office, or do you want to go see that painter?
I think the painter should be third. Because the painter might be. When you guys go talk to the cop, Evelyn and I'll go talk to the painter, but we all go to your office.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we'd all like
Because
to
that's
know.
a handy meeting place, right? In case we all get separated, since we can't go back to the hotel, we can meet at your
Oh,
office.
yes. Yes.
That too.
I'll show you around.
All right.
We have. I'll probably take more than a day to assert everything we found, but we can do a cursory search first. So we're gonna go to university, and I'll show them to my office.
Okay. Perfect. So, yes, Professor Dr. Carter has an office at the London campus for Oxford.
It's actually
I imagine in the anthropology department.
Yes.
So, and it is. I mean, it's like a late Saturday afternoon. It's fairly empty. I mean,
Yes.
there's some people, going about their own individual research. They kind of like, they greet you. Nobody asks where you've been. It's one of those things. Anthropology department. If you're not tenured and teaching, then usually you're out in the field. So
Yes. Usually I'm on excavation, so that's what expected of me. So I'll get into my office, get my back mail, put on my desk. Um, it's I mean, you can imagine the English classical university with big bookshelves all around, um, and lots of little curio amongst the book. Okay, so first thing first, lots of the things we got from the cult in New York, we were not able to identify. So I wanted to um, search through my books and the books of the university if that doesn't pan out to try to get a better feel of those things, like the scepter and the bandanas and all of that things.
I wasn't part of that, right? And I'm a smuggler. Should I take a shot at it?
uh, you can make a natural world lore.
Show world.
Natural world lore.
Yeah.
No.
Spend luck to beat that.
So yeah, so there's the mask, there's a bowl, there's a scepter, there's a headband. Those are the things that you picked up.
So I assume today's not going to be the best day to ask for professional opinion from other of my colleague because it's Saturday.
Correct.
Did we leave the freaky mask?
Oh, nope, I said the mask. The mask.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. The mask, the burnished copper bowl with runes and signs,
Mhm.
the scepter, and the headband that's warm to the touch.
Okay. Sorry, my brain is on schoolwork.
No worries. The bandanas. Now that you have access to your full library for anthropology, the bandanas are symbolic of low level members of the cult of the bloody tongue.
Okay.
Like that red piece of cloth that hangs down is meant to be a bloody tongue. It denotes their position within the religion.
Still, the fact that it's worn to the Dutch make it strange.
Oh no, the headband. That headband is very different. That headband is made out of metal. I thought you meant the bandanas.
Oh yeah, I mixed the two, but I was checking the two.
Okay, so that's the bandanas. The which one thing do you want to research on this particular visit?
I would like to research on the scepter.
All right, give me anthropology roll.
That's the thing. I really should have now that we've played, there's skill I didn't put point in that I didn't realize. I put everything in archaeology because I mix those.
Well, you'll be dead or insane soon, so you'll know better next time.
Eh.
And anybody else that's taken a look at this can also make an anthropology roll.
Well, I'm gonna spend that luck. Does a hard roll help?
Yes.
Here we go.
All right. So yeah, so you guys spend some time poring over books. I imagine for Alvin and Bill, it's a lot of like, hey, would you fetch me that book? get me that book.
Get me a
Um,
tea.
So yes, so this scepter it is African in origin. It's carved from baobab wood, carved with runes in Egyptian hieroglyphs. The runes basically say "Nyambe, thy power mine." Nyambe is a Western Southern African supreme god, basically the head of the pantheon.
Okay.
Your understanding is that if the scepter is wielded and Nyambi is called upon, a portion of their power will flow into you.
Okay.
It's kind of the equivalent of like if you go to a like a Catholic ceremony and the priest holds up the chalice and says, this is the blood of Christ. Through the power of transubstantiation or transubstation or whatever it's called. It's been a long time for me. The wine turns
Transubstantiation.
that. Thank you. The blood or the wine turns into the blood of Christ. It's a similar sort of thing. By invoking the name of the god, it's supposed to transfer an aspect of the god's power into the scepter and the wielder.
And what is he known for? Like, is he
Uh,
bringing blood or lightning or I don't know.
that's a really good question.
Bloody tongues.
Because we said probably most of those things are cursed. That's
Yeah.
the item that I felt would be the most usable of the. I might be terribly wrong.
No, he's basically like the creator god of this particular religion.
Okay. I mean, everything about all of those people is terrible, but this actually feels like
Yep. What you realize too is like the mask and the mask and the bowl, possibly the headband. The runes and the inscriptions are reminiscent of things you saw in Peru. That sort of like proto mythology that seems to run through different real world religions, whereas the scepter is distinctly different. It's recognizable. It's Egyptian hieroglyphs. It's this god from this pantheon, like easily recognizable. You don't think it's related to the other things.
Huh.
Since you spent the luck to get a supreme or
Dream success.
yeah. So yes, so the scepter is not tied to the Cthulhu mythos.
It's an occult thing and not a Peru thing.
It is an occult thing and not a Peru thing.
Okay, so my trust in that thing is a bit better.
Yeah, it feels more not necessarily safer. Um,
No, but I know more on which feet to dance with that than with the rest.
exactly.
Just a side question. I know when we succeed at the check, it get a yellow mark for the.
Yep, but not if you spend luck.
Not if I spend luck. That was my question. If I spend luck, does it work or?
Yeah. But yeah, you guys spend like a good chunk of the afternoon poring over books, translating hieroglyphs, looking up like obscure African bush tribe gods. That's pretty much your afternoon.
Yeah, I'll have to come back when my peers are in, because I'll need some others of my colleague expertise on some of those objects. But we got a good work done today. But it's getting late. What do you all say we try to meet with the Penny Foundation tomorrow?
I think that's a good idea.
We could also check up that artist work, if that's good.
We'll check the artist while you guys check the cop.
think we should not split.
No?
We could, but we're not yet on the radar of anyone. Just as long as no one is alone. I feel I have to be paranoid since our paranoid people are not.
Well, you've lost 2 friends to this situation already, so
Yeah.
stay
Alvin's
paranoid.
keeping his eyes open the entire time, right? That's kind of what he's relegated to doing while you guys are researching, right?
Yeah. Everybody else is researching. Occasionally, the camera pans over. Alvin standing by the window, kind of peeking out through the curtain.
Kind of
That's
Zane in
exactly it.
Alvin's hotel room.
Do you remember when we were? Yeah, just like when we were spent the night in what's her name again? In Evelyn Collins's room, just spinning the cylinder of his gun. Yeah, exactly like that.
All right. So, as you guys leave Oxford, it is dark. I mean, it is the end of January in London. The fog is thick. Occasionally, you can't see more than like 15, 20 feet in front of you. And it's clingy. Like you feel a little bit damp in the fog anyway, but this seems to like kind of cling to your clothing, cling to your hands. Like it's just gross. But I will get everybody to give me a constitution roll.
Straight up Constitution.
Straight up constitution roll.
How did I miss that?
How did I make it?
Ow, my liver!
What was in the fish and chip?
How is Collins the only one to have made that roll?
Don't know.
He had more sleep than the rest of us.
It was the tea. It's the only thing she had in her stomach for 2 days. Maybe that was why.
That could be. But yes, as you guys kind of walk through the streets of London through this fog, Evelyn, you're fine, but the rest of you, occasionally, you hit a particularly bad patch of the fog and you kind of cough and you cough up, like a little bit of phlegm with like black, basically soot in it.
Oh, that's the part I didn't missed. Oh.
I love the industrial age.
When all of this is
I
said
need a
and
whiskey.
when all this is said and done, I really need to bring y'all to my hometown. Get some fresh air in the mountains.
Yeah, just so the players are aware, it was estimated that basically around 12,000 people died just from the fog.
Yeah.
Like per year, or 12,000 people overall, or like 12,000 people that per day? Like
No, like in the 1920s, like over the course of several years.
okay, so over a decade,
Yep.
1,000 people died a year because of this. So 3 people a day.
Yep, just from the fog.
I would have been one of them if I lived then.
Well, apparently,
Yeah, me
all of us except for Evelyn Collins are going to die because we're all frail. For those listening, she rolled a 9, while everyone else who has 70 and 80% like have all rolled 89 and over.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'd
she's
like-
made
I'd
2
like-
rolls. One was a 2 on a D percentage. One was a 9 on a D percentage.
Yeah.
to be
How?
fair,
No clue.
Evelyn does have the second highest constitution of the group currently.
I was gonna say she has more constitution than Alvin, but she also has more constitution than me.
There you go. I mean, Alvin drinks too much.
Fighting off polio at a young age will help.
You know you drank too much again when you wake up and there's a man in a white mask standing over you saying clear.
I mean, he's self-medicating with whiskey, and he's just ill all the time. So that's a self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
All right. So I assume you guys are going back to your hotel, or you're wandering the streets of London in the dark and the fog.
Hotel.
Oh no.
Just want to make sure you guys had the option.
So I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll go sleep home.
Okay.
I'll see you for breakfast.
Oh, all right.
Is anybody doing anything during the evening or the night?
I am not.
Considering what's happened before, or maybe not watch, but like precautions. Can we say precautions instead of watch?
Putting a chair under my door handle, like Luther showed me how.
Yeah, exactly.
um, I so don't want to say it, but Evelyn's going to use her Ouija board.
Oh,
Yay!
God. And you're doing this, but you've also blocked the door. Is that correct? Am I interpreting this right?
Of course she did.
So if she needs help, we have to like batter through the door. Great. Thank
All
you.
right, Desi's not allowed to complain about Caldy anymore.
Desi never complains about Culdy. Culdy pays her.
Alvin is trying to make friends with Graham, so they have a game of poker. And considering his luck, he's going to lose.
all right. So you guys are just playing some cards. Dr. Carter's gone home. Evelyn locks the door and pulls out her spirit board.
Uh-huh.
All right, Evelyn. Why don't you give me an occult roll? Oh, good.
That roll I barely make. I had to roll under a 77, and I only made the roll by 4.
All right. So, Evelyn, as you start to reach out, open your mind as it will. And again, much like when you tried to do the spirit reading with Luther, like you know how these things tend to go. You know, the planchette moves. You know, and at first it's like, you know, peaceful, serene. You know, comforting in a way to Evelyn. And then you feel this shooting pain up your arm as your entire body stiffens. You know, dramatically. You know, head flips back, eyes roll up. And you can kind of feel yourself kind of like curled up in a ball, being just pummeled, pummeled by clubs, seemingly embedded with something, nails, you think, raking across your skin. And at the kind of last moment, you kind of look up with like, you know, kind of like bloody eyes, kind of, you know, eye like puffed, you know, barely open. And you see this person, male, dressed in Egyptian regalia, pitch black skin, like dark as night. Um, Skin, hair, fingernails, eyes, teeth, everything. Just pitch black. And he just kind of looks, kind of holds out his hand towards you, almost like he's beckoning. It's like, I can make them stop if you take my hand.
No.
So he closes his hand. He turns his back on you. And then you feel this sharp pain as something long, metallic, sharp, like slams into your chest through your heart. And I need you to make me a sanity roll.
At what point in time do we make a strength roll to try to batter down the door because of the screaming?
I don't think she can catch her breath enough to scream right now. It was a what roll you needed?
Sanity roll.
Oh. Oh. Okay then.
Oh!
1, ladies and gentlemen. Anita, you're doing all the rolls today?
I mean,
You're in
Wow.
charge of all rolls.
usually
Oh no,
Anita
don't
guys
do that.
roll terribly, but they don't notice they need to roll in what direction they need to roll. So they're just rolling as low as they can because they're used to that.
Wow.
You dice are so confused
We
right
really
now.
need to keep switching game to keep the dice confused. Keep switching games.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing though.
So as this spike pierces your heart in the dream, you wake up suddenly just as it pierces. You are physically sore, and you kind of look, and there are bruises on your body from where some of the clubs hit in your dream. Well, you're probably just thrashing in your sleep. Probably.
Probably.
But the last thing you see before your eyes open is that black gentleman, that black pharaoh, turns around to you, says, "I am here if you change your mind." And then you wake up. Like, several hours have passed since you started using the spirit board.
Yeah, she's used to losing some time when she uses the spirit board, but usually just because she's become so engrossed in whoever it is she's talking to. Not because she's been beaten to within an inch of her life and then been stabbed through the heart. Um, she'll pack everything away, very gingerly, very slowly. Drink the last little dregs of her tea from earlier, and uh, huddle in bed, wrapped in as many quilts as she can find in the room.
For the rest of you, the night passes uneventfully. Morning, February the 1st, 1925. It is a cold
You're
and
using
dismal day.
Yes.
You're
Yes,
using
it
those
was.
dates as if on any given day there's something that's scripted to happen and it's going to explode.
I have
Do you know that's
I do have a 365-day timeline.
that's great.
That's true. We've seen the future.
You
We know what it
guys,
holds.
you guys have seen the future.
Yep.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's true though. Is there anything
Yeah.
from that dream that we can use as clues for London as opposed to the other way around?
Our
Thinking,
dream. We were in the States.
yeah, in the dream you were in the States in New York, and the city was in complete ruins.
The one thing
So
I know right now is that I will not be in New York in 1 year. No
that's
way.
right. So if we never go back to New York, it doesn't
I'm
happen,
not.
right?
I'm
If
not
we don't
going
go
back
back
to
to New York, it
America.
doesn't happen.
That place is
To
silly.
us.
I'm not going back to America.
It doesn't happen to us. It's not to say it's not going to happen to someone.
I still want to stop all that thing, but just to be safe, I'm not going back to New York.
Ever.
I mean, by that logic, Volodor was there in the dreamscape, and he can't be in New York. So,
Hey, that's not true. We've seen things come back to life, right?
true.
Kinda. I mean, we've seen things move. I wouldn't call it life.
Sure. Fair.
But yes, the morning, Sunday. Does everybody meet for breakfast?
Absolutely. We're gonna have what, boiled eggs and boiled ham or boiled bacon.
Fun.
I invited all of you for breakfast in a nearby restaurant, not the hotel restaurant, that I know when people are used to me and my antic there.
And the fact that you like to eat or flavor your food.
Yes, I do like some long pepper in my food.
Evelyn does not come down.
That's not good.
Somebody better go get her. Make sure she eats. She's sick.
Okay, Alvin's gonna go since no one else volunteered. He normally
I'm not
leaves
there
this.
yet.
Hey, I don't know her.
I'm not
Yeah, I
there.
know. He normally leaves this to Luther. He's gonna knock on our
Yes.
door.
Luther is usually the polite one.
We
Oddly
all know
enough.
that Alvin's not the polite one. So he knocks on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock.
There's a
Jiggle, jiggle,
sound from
jiggle.
inside the room.
Oh God, is it a sound like the last time that we heard a sound? We walked in or we busted through the door, and Jackson Elias was like gurgling his last breath. Right. So
Gonna try
As
to
far
bust
as I
in.
know, it doesn't sound like that. No, it just sounds like someone's moving, like a normal hotel room sound. As
uh-huh.
far as I know.
Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
1 minute.
Okay, I heard her voice. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's just Alvin.
There's a scraping sound against the floor, and the doorknob jiggles, and then the chain being moved, and then the door opens.
I'm assuming that Alvin sees that chair nearby, so he can put two and two together.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, she
he's an
wouldn't.
observant
It
type.
wouldn't be far. She's probably leaning on it
Yeah, and he's
as
smart enough to know what
she
that is.
opens the door.
He looks at her and says, "Smart. Let me give you a hand downstairs."
Oh, give me a few moments to get dressed. Chris, does she have any visible bruising?
Probably a few.
Alvin does
Okay.
not ask, but he takes a step in and sits down on the chair by the door and waits.
This is rather
He's not
forward.
leering or anything, but
Chris, hotel rooms in the day. Uh, is there a washroom?
Down the hall.
Yeah, that's what I thought. She'll just
Oh.
stand and look at him like,
oh right, yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm not changing with you in the room.
No,
I'm
no, no.
sorry.
That's okay. He opens the door, takes the chair, puts the chair outside, sits on the chair, closes the door. He's not going to wait outside leaning. He's got a chair now.
Took the chair. Oh, Alvin, you're so strange. It's like he expects to be waiting there for hours on a stakeout or something.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, you're just
Exactly
lucky he hasn't
what do
booked
you
a Dame
expect?
or Friel yet.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah. Well, he did call her Dame in the first session, and she said, "I'm no Dame."
Yes, she did. So yeah, it only takes like 5 minutes or so, and she opens the door. Can I have my chair back now?
Absolutely. Let me help you put it back. And he's very impressed that you only took 5 minutes, by the way. He gives you one of those like, "Good
She
job" nods.
she does look a little worse for wear. Um, and uh, there's probably some bruising around one of her wrists anytime her sleeve sort of rides up a bit.
So he'll catch that, but he also uses the opportunity, like for the second time in the room, when he puts the chair in, he like surveys very quickly as we're leaving, but he's looking to see if anything odd is going on.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
Oh,
spot hidden. There you go. 42.
if there's something in my room, please spot it.
Well, it's going to be the Ouija board.
Yeah, you do see. No, the spirit board was put away.
She put it away.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering, like, what is this?
So yeah, take a look around there, Alvin, and you don't see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Good.
I help her down. You're in luck today. We were having boiled bacon.
Oh,
Yeah, don't ask. This place is strange.
I'm not having good luck today. This is what you're saying.
No. Yeah. And I think that luck applies to all of us. We need to find some place where we can have something that isn't boiled cabbage or a steak inside a pie. And I haven't tried the blood sausage yet, but that's because I really don't want to try.
No, I think I'll pass on that.
So he makes small talk on the way down. Do you really think blood sausage is really made with just blood? Like, is he good?
And oatmeal. So eventually you guys all gather at the restaurant that Dr. Carter has arranged to meet you at.
The restaurant is not English food.
Woohoo!
There's going to be a lot of cheese, though.
This is a French restaurant, isn't it?
It's a Swiss restaurant.
Oh, okay. Melted
It's-
cheese.
Yes. It's a friend of my family. And Dr. Carter's get to the restaurant and he has a tiny monkey on his shoulder. Oh, you made it. Glad to see y'all.
So Alvin sits down and looks around the table. He's like, did I miss the conversation or has everyone already made fun of the monkey?
Oh no, I mentioned the monkey. Everybody cracked a few jokes, but they hadn't seen the monkey yet. And he hands a little bit of food to the monkey. This is Alexander. Alexander, everyone.
Alexander.
Alexander has a tiny vest, and he's munching on a
What?
piece of potato.
Is it? Are we supposed to shake its hand? Like,
Oh no, don't worry
Does
about
it have a
that.
fez?
It does not have fans because I'm not a public entertainer.
I was thinking the same thing, Chris. So, whatever happens and whatever conversations we have at the breakfast table, Alvin is going to slowly like try to bait the monkey with food. He's just curious if it's well trained or not well trained. He's really curious about how it deals with this. That's it.
Perfect. All right. I'll get Dr. Carter to give me animal handling roll just to see how well behaved your monkey is.
I'm trying to get better at animal handling, but it's not my best. Oh, not today.
Yeah, no, the monkey, the monkey it's fairly well trained, but every once in a while you can tell like it's still a wild animal. It's still, easily bribed with food, but it for the most part seems to be actually trained.
I was on mute, but what I was saying is all I can see is that the monkey will betray us for, a tiny piece of food. So he'll keep that in his
Or
back
die from
pocket as we go.
Or
Yeah.
die from a poisoned date or something.
Exactly. Like the bad guys are going to slip him like a grape, and he's going to point to us who are all hiding in an alleyway somewhere. Like he's 100%. That's his mentality right now.
Yeah, I need to get better at training.
All right. So quickly perusing the newspapers and whatever, you tell that the Penhue Foundation does have business hours. They are not open on Sundays, like just about everything else.
And we are Monday or Sunday right now?
Monday.
Currently,
Thought it was day.
currently it is Sunday morning.
Okay.
Oh,
So
The
not
Yeah.
anyways, not for today.
Penhue Foundation is open to the public 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. So,
I thought it was Monday.
yeah, nope.
We'll probably have to push the Penway Foundation tomorrow.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, free day in London.
Well, we can always check on that artist. Or I could just go back to the library and try to make more research. But I think it would be more productive for me to go back to the office when my colleagues are there, so I can pick their brain.
So what are we planning for today?
We could check on that artist, or we could try to get in contact with Barrington. Don't know when police officers take their break.
Well, they're always working, but they also supposedly have times off. But I'm not against going after your library or your big university library. I feel like there's stuff that we could get there. I know we don't know much. All we know is it's Egypt related, but we do have some of those artifacts that we still need to identify from Egypt. Maybe those we can take the time there and connect those two dots.
Oh yes, there's a lot more to be identified from what we brought.
Right.
Uh,
The other piece is that when we went to go to sell our story to that journalist, I mean, we had access to his archives, but I'm assuming that the university holds larger archives for multiple newspapers. We're talking about 3 years. We can comb for multiple newspapers, multiple sources to see if other people have gotten this other information.
yes. If we could get on the good side of Barrington, he could maybe also give us information that was not made all that public.
Right, but I don't, and this is my only issue. Cops, I know, um, they want to make sure that they're not at your beck and call. So if we show up with
Oh,
more
yes.
information, as opposed to just asking him to spoon feed us everything he knows, will be much better. So
Right,
if
right.
we can get information from multiple paper sources and say, look, we've already done our due diligence and we're looking to fill in the gaps. We're not just people on the street who are curious and then you need to explain to us everything and bottle feed us the entire time. It'll go
Yes.
over better. It also lends credence to our contact from detective, our detective friend. Because if he did leave word that we were going to come by, well, then he's going to expect us to be minorly competent. And if we come in saying we don't know anything, we're already shooting ourselves in the foot.
Honestly, that sounds like a good plan. I don't know this enough, but if there is one thing is that I trust you with those kind of deals. So let's dig a bit deeper and have something to show up for yourself.
I mean, unless anyone has any other better ideas.
Well, the Penways Foundation is closed today. Uh, I'm perfectly willing to go dig deeper in the library. Um, what do we want to do about the artist?
I mean, we can ring him at any time. I feel like there is information there that's valuable, but it's a little bit of a poison pill. If we do assume that the Peru shit and he's involved, we as soon as we knock on that door, we're visible.
Okay.
I'm not saying we shouldn't knock on that door. We have to eventually. I'm saying the longer that we can wait without knocking on it, the more information that we can get without making ourselves a target gives us an advantage.
Yeah, makes sense.
I only have one major question. At the university, is there what kind of food are we going to expect? Because my belief is that you guys are going to be doing the researching and I'm going to be doing the eating and the watching, right? So,
Well, the restaurant where we are right now is breakfast, so it's mostly like potato, cheese, and cured meat.
but at the
It's called
university,
university. You will get from the cafeteria.
uh,
That's gonna be very British food. So I'd suggest we pack a lunch.
Proper Joes,
got
not sloppy Joes.
I mean, they could make you. I'd ask them to for a sandwich to go. I think that would be more to your taste.
yeah, I agree.
The name of the breakfast meal from the restaurants that Carter suggests is called a tartiflette.
Ooh,
I'll,
tartiflette.
I'll send you I'll send you all the picture.
All right. So what are you guys doing today?
So I think the plan is going back to the university to try to see if we have a backlog of newspaper of other sources to come through the past year and I'm gonna make a bit more research on the other things that we have.
Okay.
Was everything on board with everyone on board for that?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That sounds fine.
How so you went to a lot of detail, Chris, the first time around. I know it was New York City, so it might be a little bit easier to describe what New York was like in the 20s and what our options for mobility was. Can you I'm asking you to take like 2 minutes while you describe our options to go to the university to give us that kind of like overview, I guess.
Sure. Um, from where your hotel is, you can walk. You guys walked it last night. London cabs are a thing. Uh, the train is a thing. I don't believe the underground is available yet, the tube. Um, there are like private, you can hire private cars, kind of like a precursor to Uber, I guess. Like you can hire a car and a driver, or you can rent a car of your own. All of these things are fairly common. I mean, London is the largest city in the world, so it's quite modern by 1920 standards, at any rate. So all of the normal conveyances are there. Taxis are much more regulated than they are in New York, so they're significantly safer. And that the temperature, like that, it's not as snowbound. It's wet, but you're not like trudging through slush and snow and ice everywhere you go. So getting from place to place isn't much of an issue, especially since you have people with decent credit ratings. It's really just a matter of telling me which manner of conveyance you wish to use, whether you want to rent your own car or hire a driver, or horse-drawn cabs are still a thing. Interestingly enough, most of the police get around on bicycles.
Does that mean by default the stereotype of the large cop in New York City is not applicable in London?
Correct.
Huh.
Um,
Rude.
Most
Yeah.
of the Bobby are rather lean kind.
right. And something else in London, like London is, it's large, so the streets are very maze-like and Warren-like. Like if you don't know where you're going, it's quite easy to get lost, either accidentally or on purpose.
So yeah, so unlike New York, European cities were not built to plan. They were built over centuries.
Exactly.
So okay. On the
Oh,
way to
oh,
the
the tube actually does exist.
nice.
No, I think it did.
But most of the stations are closed between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. Oh, there's also
Okay.
double-decker buses.
Check that out. It's the chicken
Very
city of the
cool.
future.
I'm gonna
Between
ask.
between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., there are hop-on, hop-off transports with the electrified trams.
Nice. Chris,
Fancy.
none of us, barring one person, knows London very much. How hard is it on the way to the library, on the way to the university, to get our hands on a handful of maps?
It's not difficult at all.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to make sure we all have one in case we ever get separated. And I specifically tell them, do not write anything on your map. Do not put a notation, do not circle or X anything. Just remember where it is, and then you can get there.
A question, Chris.
Yes.
Just to try to figure what credit rating implies. I don't know if at my level of wealth I would have someone working for me, like someone who could drive me around and stuff like that.
What's your credit rating?
76.
Yeah, 76 is like wealthy.
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's really well
assumed.
said.
That's what I assumed, but I was not sure. I was seeing like the house having one help Not a bunch, but at least one where I live. That's what I had in mind, but I was not sure if that was applicable considering my rating.
Uh, one second. But yeah, a 76, you could easily have like a basically
mean-
like a guy who does your errands and stuff like that. You don't
I
have
mean,
a
we're in England.
yeah.
If you have a butler is totally a thing, right?
Yep.
That's what I had in mind. That's what I had in mind. Like a butler that, like, I don't know how to drive, so I assume I have someone driving me around.
Yeah, at a 76 you are wealthy.
So, and also in England, that at the time that was considered a good profession, right? It's like you were a professional butler is like a profession. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like you're the help, right?
So anybody with a credit rating of 50 to 89 is wealthy. So you have a residence, perhaps with domestic help, possibly a second home. You can stay in expensive hotels. You do actually own a car.
So
Anybody 10 to 49 is average.
okay. So we can use my car, and I could get my butler to drive me around if needed. But I do think
Yep.
Evelyn knows how to drive. If we don't want to involve him in things.
Oh, I don't know how to drive here.
Oh yes, that's not the same kind of driving.
No. Everything. She will be fascinated by the fact that the car is like a weird mirror thing. How? This is. She might even sit down in the driver's seat just to kind of
Basking.
say, yep, this is strange. I mean, I'd be willing to try, but I'd hate to damage anything or anyone.
Chris,
Yep.
and my paranoid, in Alvin's paranoid sense, like when we were traipsing around New York, we had two large men, of which one always wore a mask. Army veteran, a guy in a fedora, crippled lady, and like we were particularly stand out-ish. Is
Yep.
there anything that Alvin thinks on the way to the university that we could kind of dress or common clothing or just a change of whatever to make us just look slightly less unique? So he's thinking that that might have been one of the easier ways for them to track us, to simply ask, "Did you see a group of 6 people with a crippled lady and a guy with a mask?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, they were over there, right?" Like,
I mean,
That's-
since I got back home, I probably changed the few suits I had from New York. So I like cycled the same 4 or 5 suits while I was in New York, and now I got a new one. So I'm not exactly what I was, but it's still the very British tailored look.
Yeah, I mean, one of the advantages you had in New York, aside from the fact that there's some obvious things that stand out, is the fact that everybody was wearing like winter clothing all the time. Here it's a little bit warmer, so there's not that going for you. But little things like, a lot of people carry umbrellas because the weather is so damn miserable. So, keep an umbrella up, that sort of thing. Like little things you can definitely do. You can actually, if anybody who wishes to, can make a disguise roll to see how well you fit in and also maybe increase your disguise skill.
I don't think I want to do that.
I finally get to use my disguise roll that I actually spent points on.
There you go.
Check that. I'm going to roll 100. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I called it, didn't I?
You actually rolled 100. Holy shit.
Wow.
I can't believe Tony missed that.
I my 1, your 100. Like this is the dice are so confused.
Guys, I have 55% in disguise. I'm
Not
the only
today.
person in this entire game who's put points in this skill. I have not had a reason to use it, and as soon as I do, I rolled 100. Oh my god.
So yeah, so I was like, maybe we should not stand out, and then you stop into like, well, the stores would be closed on a Sunday, but find a way to like kind of change up your description. And Alex or Alvin looks exactly the same. You know, his hat is tilted at a different angle.
I mean, he asked us to look a bit different, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to like blend a bit more, and I changed like my cravat, the color of my suit. But
If
That's
you're rolling
more than
100,
Alvin did.
if you're rolling 100, I'm going to make a roll, even though I have only a disguise of 5.
Oh,
I'm spending a luck point.
I cannot believe you rolled 6.
Luck point.
I spent 1 luck point to make that roll.
Screw you. My 55 percentage shakes the fist at you.
I mean, you could spend. Actually, you can't spend luck on 100. I was going to say you could spend like 45 luck.
Could I push it? No, huh?
No, you can't push a 100.
Uh,
A fumble is a fumble is a fumble.
Is it ever?
I'm gonna go into the other room now.
As a matter of fact, since it was a fumble, why don't you give me a luck roll?
Oh my god. So they weren't tailing us until I rolled 100 on disguise. Is that what you're saying?
they just
You're
luck
the
roll.
one person who sticks out.
That was amazing.
Nice.
All right.
Double.
That was
two-star.
absolutely amazing.
All right, so you guys managed to make your way to the university. Dr. Carter's driver picks you up. Is Evelyn actually driving, or?
No, she might be willing to drive out in the country to start, but not.
That's what I was going to propose. Like, let's get you acquainted with the machine first. Like, we'll drive away from town in country road.
Once
So-
we're out of town on country roads, I'm willing to try my hand at this offhanded driving. But I will certainly not be navigating our way out of town. I have not been quite well enough since we arrived to be trying that.
Fair point.
All right. So yes, you guys can get to Oxford, get to Dr. Carter's offices. None the worse for wear.
I'm gonna tell my spiel. So everyone apparently knows my name. Everyone's hi Alvin. It's as much as my ability
Yep.
to try to blend in is. But while everyone researches everything, Alvin will look out, and that's what he does.
Okay. Right. So during this visit to the office, what would you like to research?
Do we start with the backlog of paper, or do I try to cross-reference the book that we have?
This is up to you, man.
Do anybody want to check something while I work on that?
I can try to help you.
Okay.
Since I think you and I are the two with library use.
Yes. So I'll try to try to start with the backlog of periodical. See if we find anything in the papers that could be of interest.
Okay.
I assume it takes a quarter day for each things we do.
Pretty much, yeah.
And for my planning, would trying to look through books to try to find reference to the terms we saw in the terrible books we brought back be a applicable research.
There is nothing in the Oxford Library related to the Cthulhu mythos.
Okay.
Gotta go Boston for that.
Not that you're aware of.
Well, I'll start with the papers.
Okay. Right, you guys can give me a library use roll. So what are you looking for exactly?
Um, Two things. If there are more mention of the Carlisle expedition, whereabouts or passage in London, and any more mention of the more details on the so-called Egyptian murder, or if there's any other mention of the two other article that Jackson took out.
There's like sporadic mentions of the Carlisle expedition. Nothing that doesn't match up with
That
what
we
you already know.
Okay.
There is in the newspaper. There are. I mean, you do come across the murders. None of the newspapers seem to be like deliberately linking together, other than the tabloids, because that's what tabloids do.
Mhm.
The other mentions of it are like prim and proper official police statements, which are, you know, as far as the police are saying, the police aren't linking anything together. The tabloids are, you know, pushing this like, you know, oh, all these murders are connected and the police know something, and that's all tabloids. The newspapers are by the book standard police releases. But all of the murders are covered. Like the police aren't hiding any of them. They're just not saying anything to the press.
And does the murderer detail a bit more in any of those paper?
Absolutely nothing. It's literally it's whatever the police officially released to the press.
Okay.
Almost nothing.
Can Alvin ask two questions? One, is there anything weird, creepy, or they mentioned the scarification that we saw in the first place? So that's one. And two is, don't I ask the people, don't forget to investigate the foreigner. He's the odd one, and he's the one that might get more coverage.
Okay, that one I'll look into.
Okay, I can give you
Library use, you said.
library use.
I don't find shit.
Nope.
In fact, I forgot how to spell foreigner.
No mention of any sort of like ritual markings or anything. The only notable thing is that these victims were killed in a similar way, beaten and then pierced through the heart. But no ritual scarification or anything in any of the newspapers. And as you do research, you do come to the conclusion that the foreigner concept, it's how they refer to just about all of the deaths. You know, if somebody wasn't British, then they were referred to as a foreigner. If you guys end up headless in the Thames, you will be a foreigner.
It's a shame that no one has shared their dreams about being pierced through the heart, but you know, that is what it is.
But yes, basically you spend the better part of the morning going through things, and it's really just confirming what you already know. There's nothing new.
What about the Egyptian artifacts?
That's the afternoon.
Ah,
Yep.
We'll be there to spend the days. So First was the paper, and the afternoon I'm gonna get back on the artifact.
Okay. So for the afternoon, do you want to research the mask, the bowl, or the headband?
The
Um,
cafeteria.
Is there any of those that has marking that I could reference through the library?
No.
I thought we had already found out about the headband, that it was a signifier of rank,
That's
something along those lines.
the bandanas, not the metal headband.
Okay.
But your research in the morning does indicate that whatever these markings are, whatever this runic language is, does not exist in the Oxford Library.
Okay. So, no help from the books. But there are markings on the headband.
There are.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the headband.
Okay. Whoever is helping to research the headband can give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
Oh. Oh dear. Nope.
Oh, a 3.
I'm gonna thanks Anita for this one. Thanks for the luck.
For loaning you the 3?
Yeah, but it feels like whatever you roll right now.
Okay. All right. As you guys are poring over this headband, and like I said, it strangely feels it's like heavier than it should be, and it is warm to the touch. Even though you guys have been carting it around in the winter, and it's metal, it is warm. The cuneiform like runes. It suddenly dawns on you. You've seen something like this in one of the books, maybe in the Panoptic manuscripts, maybe in one of the books you got from the Carlisle vaults. You're not sure which one, but this is a very very old, like almost like a precursor language. Um, Sort of thing like you think back and you think like the stories of the at one time all humans spoke the same language and then the gods punished the people and everybody started speaking in tongues. This language predates that. And it seems to be some sort of protective device. Um, and as you're playing with it, and you're kind of like running your hands over the runes and kind of getting a feel for it, you get a glimpse, kind of like this primordial memory. And find a description of what you see. There's an actual quote from Lovecraft about this. Shocking and uncouth, a black thing with smooth, oily, whale-like surfaces, unpleasant horns that curve inward towards each other, bat wings whose beating makes no sound, ugly prehensile paws and barbed tails that lash needlessly and disquietingly. And worst of all, it does not speak nor laugh, never smiles because it has no faces to smile with, but only suggestive blankness where a face ought to be. All they ever did was clutch and fly and tickle. You recognize that this creature is called a night gaunt. And apparently this headband protects from them.
I mean, any protection is better than no protection. I'm not sure I want to be protected against Night Gaunt because I don't really want Night Gaunts to exist.
And
But
Yes.
since I don't have my say in those, that might be useful.
The Call of Cthulhu equivalent of you can certainly try. Just let me know if you decide to put it on.
Oof.
Wouldn't mind trying putting it on if nobody objects.
I totally object, Alvin says. I absolutely object.
I don't think any of this shit's real.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I object. Because you are the only one. Notice how everyone else is hesitant about this.
I mean, my point is it might work, but
Right.
if there's no night gone to protect herself against, I don't see why I would risk it.
That is exactly correct. The doctor, listen to the doctor there, Bill. Right? This is the entire point of what we're trying to get at.
I mean,
Until you realize it,
it's good that we know that it might do that, but
that's right.
I'll
But the
wait till
risk is too high right now.
if we don't need it, I wouldn't risk it.
That's right. The risk is outweighs the potential reward because we are not in trouble. Now, if something like that jumps us and it is a matter of life and death, then I will consider it for a second time. Does not mean I would put it on. You do not, and it's fine that you don't get it, and it's fine that you can smirk at me and chuckle and whatever. That's okay. We'll have this conversation again when we have this conversation again. There is no amount of me telling you or talking to you until you see what we now refer to as Peru shit. It will not make sense to you, and you will make light of it as I did. And that's okay. Just don't put it on.
The good thing though, through the research is the scepter, the Egyptian scepter. It does not seems to be Peru shit.
It does not.
No, it does not. It seems to be occult, but not Peru shit. It is like linked to religion that actually exists, and not to some pre-humanity thing. So that's the thing I'd feel more confidence to have in my hands if I want to try to use any of those shit. That's the one I trust a bit more than the rest. I'm not saying it's safe, just that I understand it more than the rest. So that's the good point. The bad point is all of the other things are Peru shit.
And Evelyn, since you previously, I believe, successfully made your Cthulhu Mythos on the mask.
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to go back to check, but
Yeah, I remember you did. That's the only one someone's done a success on.
So you do recall that the mask, the four faces on the mask represent four deities of some nature. You don't know exactly who the deities are, but the representation of one of those deities from the mask is also present on the headband.
okay. As she's sort of sitting there looking at them, and Dr. Carter's explaining what this is all about, she'll sort of take note and ask him, what is this supposed to mean? Do you have any idea? Because this is the same as this, and she'll point to the point out the similarities between the the headband, and the mask. Head mask, yes.
It told me when we were in the underground. Those are the visage of ancient gods, if I
Yes.
remember correctly. So
Do we know which ones?
I think you mentioned one, but it didn't ring any kind of bell for me.
You
But
did.
the fact that the markings on the mask and the headbands are the same, I think that this thing protects you against Night Gone by giving you the blessing of that and point to a face.
And I feel like we just said wearing these things are bad
Oh
because
yeah.
being protected by one bad thing, by being blessed by another bad thing, is
The
bad.
the few things I can understand about the mask is that they each represent different of those creature gods thing, and that each person wearing it acts in the name of that god or something like that. So I don't know if putting on the mask get you controlled by that thing or what, but the mask is the last thing I would put on someone.
Um,
But this is based
Evelyn's
on not much.
Evelyn's going to look over the other items and see if she can find that deity kind of image again, or if she can find any of the other three that are on the mask.
Give me a spot hidden.
Wow,
What is it with you today?
the dice are so confused.
Right.
25% and I make the roll. I can guarantee that would not have happened in Marvel Face Rip.
That particular sigil is also part of the runes carved into the copper bowl that you guys have.
Evelyn will point that out to the rest of the group.
And since I had given you the names of the four gods that are on the mask when you made your Cthulhu Mythos roll that time, so the four gods that are on the mask are Nodens, Azathoth, Shabnagarath, and Yog Sothoth.
Look at you pronouncing things all pro like.
Look at me pronouncing Cthulhu names. Uh, that symbol that's on the bowl and on the
There it is.
headband.
I did write it down.
There you go. That
Did we?
symbol corresponds to the symbology around the face representing Nodens.
Okay, gotcha. Um, did we leave the robe and the glove behind?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking.
And the last piece of information before we call it for this session. Dr. Carter, that symbol, that representation of this deity of Nodens, is also very reminiscent of the sigil you need to paint or carve to protect something. It's very similar to the Elder Sign.
Alvin turns to the group. Once you guys are all done with this, someone needs to give me like a layman's explanation, if that's possible.
The Cole's Notes version.
Yeah.
But yes, as darkness starts to descend once again, as you guys get ready to leave the library, with the realization that these three disparate artifacts may in fact be connected through some entity referred to as Nodens, we will call it there.
All right. Good
That's a
session.
creepy link to make.
But before we go, I'll click it on developer mode so you guys can make your luck improvement check.
No.
Question for you there, York. Is Dr. Carter mentioning to everyone else that the symbol for Nodens is similar to the Elder Sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of those realization he makes, like speaking up, like, and that would be this, and like he thinks loudly.
Yeah. Okay.
Loud. That's what I meant.
He usually does. That's why I was kind of wondering, like, just to double check.
Yes,
So
yes.
what are we rolling, Chris? Sorry.
Luck recovery.
Obviously, you recover some luck. Obviously,
What the heck?
that was the
Tonight's
luck
apparently
save.
the night for it,
You're having a hell of a game there, Evelyn.
right? I am
Well, it's not
doomed
only
tomorrow night.
it's not only the great roll, but it's also the great recovery too. Oftentimes you recover like 1 or 2 points.
Desi's doomed tomorrow night.
You know what? You know what you should have done? You should have rolled my disguise roll.
I mean, I did borrow some of her luck.
I mean, it probably would not have been a 100. Well,
Even if it had been a 99, it would have been better.
It wouldn't have been a 100 if you didn't say you were going to roll 100, right?
Really
What
called
are
it.
the odds?